Are you looking for a fun game to play with a friend or a best friend? Well, look no further. Here are 5 games that I think you enjoy with a friend. Now, the criteria for this is that it needs to be playable with just one other person. It can have more people, but the main thing is that it's actually playable with 2 people. Looking at you, Vermintide 2. Anyway, to start it off, and this is in no particular order of ranking, number 5 is A Way Out. Now, this is probably the most pure co-op experience, since it actually allows split screen, so you can play on the same computer, which is a blast. Although, one thing you can do, is a really cool feature of this, and the only game that does this, is if one person buys it, you can send a free invite to another person, another computer, of course, so that way they can download it and play just with you, so only one person has to buy the game. Really kind of cool, but this has a great story, a great ending. The mechanics and mini games are very fun in it. There's a lot of stuff you can do to screw around with your friend. It's $15. It's a 12 to 15 hour completion time, but this is a definite blast and I'd highly recommend it. Number 4 is Far Cry 5, and this is my first foray into the Far Cry series, but I had a ton of fun playing this. One of my favorite things about this game is that it has the right amount of jank, and what I mean by that is another game that I like, Dying Light, which can be played with up to I think 4 people, or you can just play with another person. That game feels like it's a lot more on the rails compared to Far Cry 5. Like, you can't handle things in different ways like you can in Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 feels like it has a lot more freedom on how to handle things. It's got great gunplay. There's a ton of weapons, a lot of goofy weapons to play with, which I love. The story, I liked it. I know some people didn't, but I thought it was good, and I thought the ending was good. I mean, it's fun, it's different. The difficulty in this game, I know this is a bit weird to mention, but I really liked it because if you do things, stealthily, do it the right way, you won't have any difficulty. But if you screw around like me and my friend did, you can get swarmed very easily and it can turn into a very chaotic experience, which is also very fun. The game is $15 on CD keys, I believe. It takes about 15 to 19 hours to complete, but this is just a very fun co-op game in my opinion. Number 3 is Deep Rock Galactic. This is probably my favorite out of all of them. This is not like a single player or not story driven. It has procedurally generated levels. It's about dwarves and bugs, basically. There's lots of ways you can play the game, lots of modes and maps, and my favorite part about this is that you can actually play on higher difficulties with 2 people, unlike Vermintide 2. And the reason I mention Vermintide 2 a lot is because this would have made the list if it had actually been playable on higher difficulties with 2 people. The problem is you had to play a certain way, you had to run certain weapons, you had to run certain classes, and you had to have 4 people. So you were forced to play a certain way, which is the exact opposite of Deep Rock Galactic. You got 4 classes to choose from, which allows you to mix and match. You could either play as the same character, or you can choose different ones that really blend well with each other. I think it'd be a good FPS to introduce someone to this genre, as the first 2 difficulties are perfect for leading you by the hand and letting them grasp how everything works. There's a lot of endgame content in Deep Rock Galactic, leveling up your dwarf, getting skins, stuff like that. So if you're the type that wants to do something like that, which I'm not that type of person, but I know there are some people who do like to do that, I think you'd enjoy it. Deep Rock Galactic has a fantastic art style. I really love it. The game is constantly getting updates. I've put about 100 plus hours into it. This game is a little more expensive than all the rest. It's $30 normally on Steam, but it typically does go on sale. I think it might be on sale right now for $20, although I think it may go a little lower than that, although don't quote me on that. But this is a definite blast to play. For number 2 is Star Wars Battlefront 2015. Now, this may seem like an odd choice, but me and my friend had a ton of fun playing the co-op on this, which I think was very overlooked. This game, out of all of them, is the cheapest. You can get it for like $5 on CD keys. It's got good graphics. I mean, it is 5 years old, but they still look good. This game, I'd say, is good for a completionist. Now, I'm not really a completionist. like, because most of the time it's way too daunting. But with the co-op mode, it's actually possible. So for instance, there's like 5 different things you got to get. Like, you got to do it on the different difficulties. You got to not use any lives and stuff like that, or not die. And that was probably the funnest part, and we've probably put at least probably 30, 50 hours into the game just doing that, because, I mean, it was very difficult, but very rewarding, and it's also very simple. Like, this is another FPS that if you want to introduce someone to first-person shooters, I think it would be, I mean, it's very simple in that aspect, especially compared to, like, Battlefield 4. Also, as a bonus, you could say it has multiplayer, although I don't really know what the player count is on that. Last and least is Duck Game. First of all, this thing can literally run on a potato. It's 150 megabytes, you know, like it's 1 gig of RAM, 2.0 gigahertz processor, Windows 7. You could run this thing on a cheap old laptop. There's no worrying about that compared to all the other ones. This game is simple, stupid fun. It is a party game, which I think you can actually have more than 4 people on. Don't quote me on that though. There's custom maps on here as well. Honestly, like, you just look at the footage, it's just a really simple but stupidly fun game to play. It is $13. I do not recall it going on sale too much, although this is a great dumb game to play with a friend. And a special mention, Halo. I never played Halo before, so it was kind of fun to be introduced to that. A great story. It's very easy to team kill your friend, and which makes it just an overall great experience, because any game you can do that basically ups the experience for me. Also, there's lots of games. I think almost all the games in the Halo series have co-op, because I started the second one, and that's definitely more co-op oriented. I think the first 2 games you could probably run on a potato. I don't know about the rest, but it's $10 per game, although $40 for the bundle. I had a lot of fun with it, and I think you probably would too. This list was just supposed to be some games that I thought were fun for 2 people, because a lot of games, like I said in the beginning, I feel like that they're either solely single player or they're like trying to incorporate like 4 and more people, and they don't really focus on that authentic sort of 2-player co-op. And while there is only one in this list that really does that, I felt like these games were all very fun to play with just 2 people. Well, I hope you enjoyed this list, and this has been the Duke, signing off.